You've iced your cake, you put it in the fridge, you take it out to decorate it, and there's these crazy annoying cracks all in the buttercream. What do? I'm gonna show you. Hi, it's Karolyn. In this video, I'm going to show you how I fix the little annoying hairline cracks that happen in the buttercream, and I don't know why I'm getting such an attitude right now, but it is really annoying when you, what's wrong with me? It is really annoying when you ice a cake, it's all pretty and smooth, and then you see all these imperfections in it. So if you want to see the weird but effective way that I fix the cracks in my buttercream icing, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I don't know if you can see here, but this cake does have some cracks in it. And I didn't add enough liquid when I was making the cakes. Sometimes this happens, and I just want to show you how to fix it. Sometimes I can salvage this by just taking a small spatula and lightly scraping off the crack. However, you can still see a little bit of the cracks in here. Sometimes it leaves a mark. This one actually isn't too bad, but I'm going to show you what I do when if the cracks get really bad. So I have the extra icing from when I iced this cake. I just start to reincorporate everything together. And I'm just going to put a really thin layer of icing around this whole cake. I'm basically just going to re-ice it, put another thin coating of icing on the outside, and it'll fix the whole situation. I will link my video on how I ice my cakes, and this is a double barrel cake. I will link also how I ice a double barrel cake, just so those go into more detail. Taking the icing on the spatula, this cake is out of the refrigerator, so it's fresh out of the refrigerator, so it's still cold, and there's no condensation that has formed on the outside. So I'm putting a really thin layer, maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. So it's really thin around the whole cake, starting from the bottom, working my way up to the top. And I'm going to bring the buttercream above the top of the cake. Then I take my bench scraper. This is a double barrel bench scraper that I got from Shauna McGreevy. I will link this below. And I'm going to, like I always do, wet it with hot water, wipe the water off, and use the hot metal to smooth the buttercream. Trying to do this for the camera is difficult because I'm right-handed. So wetting this, trying to keep this straight up and down. And going around the cake, smoothing out the buttercream. And then, like I always do, taking a Viva paper towel and putting it against the side of the cake, rubbing up and down with my hand to remove any of the small lines and imperfections. And then I'll take a fondant smoother and just press this against the side of the cake, trying to make it a little more smooth. And now I'm going to get down on the eye level and level off the top of the cake by pressing the icing back and down. I clean off in between every time that I wipe it off. I clean it off on the bowl, wet the spatula to rinse it off, wipe it off, and then press it back. You have to be eye level so you can make sure that you're going even the whole way around. I explain all of this in my video on how I ice a cake. And then since this cake is cold because it's out of the refrigerator, I'm going to set it aside for about 20 minutes so the icing can crust, and then I'll use the paper method to smooth it out. And now this has been crusting for about a half hour, so I'm going to do my paper method, putting the paper next to the cake and taking the fondant smoother and smoothing out any imperfections that may still be into the icing, making the icing pretty and smooth. And like always, just refining the top edge one last time by getting eye level with the cake, scraping off the icing to make it level, wiping off the spatula, the extra icing on the spatula, wet the spatula to clean off the icing, wipe off the water, and then repeat the process. This is all explained in my video on how I ice a cake. And for the final touch, like I always do, taking a little bit of hot water on the top, spreading it out with the spatula to smooth out any lines or bumps that are on the top part of the cake. And there is your new freshly iced cake with no cracks. So here you go. Here is your cake all corrected with no corrected. Here's your cake with your no cracks. That doesn't sound right. So here you go. Here is your freshly re-iced cake without the buttercream cracks in it. I'm gonna put this down. So what do I want to say about this? I always refrigerate my cakes, so when I do this process, the cake is cold. After I spread on the icing and smooth it out, before I do the paper method like I did in the video, you have to let it sit for a little while so the icing can crust and it won't be sticky when you're pressing the paper on the outside to smooth it out. If you do it too soon, the icing is going to stick to the paper. So just remember that. Also make sure there's no condensation on the cake when you're spreading on that other layer of icing, or else it won't stick and you may have air bubble issues. Now, I know this is a little weird. The way I do this is weird. I do things weird, but I do what works for me. Sometimes things happen and you just have to figure out a way to solve the problem, and this is what has worked for me, so I hope it can work for you. So I think that is it. If you have any questions, leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And just like always, please like this video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and you want to see more videos like this. And you can follow me. I am on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I have my website. I will link all of that below. So I think that is it